Okay, so in today's session, we are talking about the basic concept of agile. You see, right on the top of the slide, you see it is written doing agile versus being agile. I would like to ask you, what would you like to do? Do you want to be doing agile or you want to be agile? What approach seems more appropriate to you? You want to work like agile or you want to be agile? Doing agile versus being agile.
No, being agile, because
Being.
it is about the mindset.
It is about the mindset, right? Exactly. That is probably because you have already have gone through the course, so you are very clear about it. And are you sure what he means?
For me, I think it's doing agile because
Right, right. So let me explain that. Doing agile means that you are going through the motions of as if you know agile and you are doing all the processes of agile. Uh, Agile is not about just doing what everyone else is doing. This is not just a process which you have to follow. You actually have to understand the concept and the mindset of agile and adopt that mindset. So doing agile is not the solution. It is just like you're copying someone, but you have no understanding what you are doing and why you are doing it. When you are being agile, that means that you have actually adopted the concept, you have adopted the mindset of agile, the crux of agile is understood to you, and now you can tailor your way of working as and when required, meaning you are going to be truly adaptive, right? That is exactly why doing agile is not the correct answer, and the correct answer would be being agile. I hope you understand, Eddie.
yes, sir, you have to be agile.
Right. As I have already explained to you, uh, we work in iterations when we are in agile, and as I said, they are time boxed, they are small iterations, they are not very long iterations, and we try to keep the size of the iteration to the minimum, right? So we like to keep it shorter, and this is fixed in the beginning of the project, how big an iteration will be, and iteration size cannot be altered during a project. Once you have decided that we will be working in a 2 week iteration, it will always remain a 2 week iteration, right? It will not be increased, it will not be decreased, right? This is something we are very strict about. Otherwise, we are highly adaptive about everything else, about the requirements, what requirements are to be done in any iteration. We are completely flexible about it. Moreover, in Agile, our focus is not really on the processes. As I said, doing Agile means that you are trying to copy someone, you're trying to do what everyone else is doing. You are trying to follow some kind of process. Here we don't have a process. In Agile, actually we follow the product, right? Rather than doing the processes, we try to produce the product, the output, the deliverable. So product is more likely to evolve based on stakeholder feedback. The interesting part is because the specifications or the requirements are not really very clear, so that's why we don't have a complete picture of what the product would look like. But whatever we know, till that point in time, we will start working on that, right? I'll deliberate more on it. How can you start working like that? So as yesterday we were discussing that it was initiated or it was started off agile in the software development industry, and that's why most of the people still think that this is only meant for the software industry, but that is not really true, because yesterday we went through the Agile Manifesto and all the Agile principles, and if you look at it closely, you would see, except for the word of software, if you just can replace that with the product, every principle of Agile does fit the bill. You can use it in a construction project, you can use it in any kind of a project. So, the only key to that is that you have to adopt the agile mindset. You have to adopt the agile mindset. As I was saying, you have to be agile rather doing agile. So, by that, what I mean, you adopt a flexible and change friendly way of thinking and behaving, right? You have to change your way of thinking. You have to be less rigid. You have to be more adaptive. You have to be highly flexible, and you should not be resisting the change. That is the mindset I want you to be working on. Secondly, understand the purpose of these practices. Why are we doing agile? Why are we adopting agile? Until and unless you know the purpose, why are we doing it, you won't be able to appropriately use it because you are not in the right mindset. I said just copying as someone else is doing is not agile. You have to really be in the right mindset. You should know the purpose why we are doing what. Third, select and implement appropriate practices based on context. That is high level of tailoring. You have to tailor your way. You see the requirements, you discuss with the customer, you collect the requirements, and you change your way of working while you go, right? You tailor it accordingly. You are highly adaptive. Again, the case for agile mindset. And last but not the least, you internalize agile values, mindset, and behavior. I have already told you what is the agile manifesto, what are the agile principles, what are the values in the agile manifesto, and whole of this concept has to be, etched on your brain. You should have adopted it, you should have accepted it. Only then you will be able to benefit out of it. Right. I see there is another student logged in by the name of business professional. Uh, can you please switch on your camera and introduce yourself? Probably we want to know who it is. Business professional. Who is it, please? Is it Comrec? Who is this business professional? Because if you don't respond to me, I may get you out of the class, because if you are not a student of the class, I only know that one person who did not join yesterday was Mr. Comrec McCoy.
Hello, Mr. Suhail. I am Tahir, joining
Tahir.
from Islamabad.
Okay, okay. So are you are not on the list which I was sent. So can you introduce yourself? Why are you here in this class?
Mr. Suhail, I am Tahir, and I have supply chain experience, and I am enthusiastic to learn about project management.
No,
That's
but
why I have
were you invited by Dr. Faz? How did?
affirmative.
Yes.
Yes, I was invited by Dr. Faiz Afsool.
Okay. Because I was not intimated about you. But anyways, if you were invited, you are most welcome, and therefore you can sit in the class. So you would be my fifth student. Actually, two of our students are yet missing. They are not here in the class. Two of them are here, Mazen and Eddie. So Tahir, if you can change your name in the list as if we can correct ourselves and we can address you accordingly. And you can switch on your camera as well.
Yeah, surely.
Thank you very much. Okay. Uh, uh, Moving on. Right. Eddie, as I was saying that we have to tailor our project, right? I hope you understand what do I mean by tailoring my project. What do you understand by that, Eddie?
Meaning we have to customize our project according to our stakeholder or supervisor.
Wonderful, wonderful. So basically, we will collect the requirements, and as the requirements keep pouring in, we will change our way of working, will adopt to the new way of working, and therefore, as I said, it is not some process we are following, but we are designing our own processes as we go. That is the agile mindset. Because each project is unique, we adopt methods to the unique project context to determine the most appropriate way of working. So we have to decide how are we going to go about the project, right? Not like a traditional project that we have predefined processes and we are blindly following them. No, not at all. We are tailoring iteratively and continuously throughout the life of the project. Tahir, I can't still see you on camera. Please switch on your camera. Okay, so tailoring is not only dedicated for the agile projects. Even in the predictive projects, we do have an element of tailoring because you see, uh, even if we are doing a traditional project, which is called a predictive project, there are still some things which are to be changed, still some things are to be adopted, and therefore, an element of tailoring is even there in a predictive project, and more so because hybrid is an approach between predictive and adaptive. So naturally, there is a lot of element of tailoring in hybrid approaches as well. So what do we do in hybrid approaches? We apply the product knowledge. That is, again, although we are doing some things in a predictive manner, maybe our top management is working in a predictive manner. They are having a contract and they are supposed to be having certain processes. But at the same time, we are trying to be adaptive at least at the bottom level. So we apply the product knowledge. As you see, in Agile, we emphasize on the product rather than the process. So we apply the product knowledge. And what is a delivery cadence? What is what do you make out of it? What is a delivery cadence? Tahir, do you have any idea? What is a delivery cadence?
Yes, Mr. Suhail, delivery cadence is basically in how much duration we are going to deliver some product.
Mazin, I think I suppose you know what is a cadence. Cadence. Mazin? Do you remember I talked
No,
about the iteration a while ago? That iteration size will have to be fixed. Remember that? In Agile, we have
yeah,
no. Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the duration of one sprint will be 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You have to fix that whether you want to keep it 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 week, whatever. I'm not saying that it is always fixed. It is not a procedure that it is always going to be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But you have to decide as an agile project manager what is going to be the size of your sprint or your iteration, right? So when you fix that size, that becomes your cadence. Cadence means that every iteration will be of the same duration from now on throughout the life of the project. That is also called delivery cadence, because after every, say, 2 weeks, you are going to deliver something. So there's a fixed time duration, fixed time box of, say, 2 weeks. So 2 weeks is going to be called as your delivery cadence. I hope, Tahir, you understand what I mean to say?
Yes, understood.
Okay. So here we are applying the product knowledge because we are partially agile or fully agile. In hybrid, we are partially agile. And we are using the delivery cadence and also the awareness of the available options to select the most appropriate development approach. Now, that is where we choose our way of working. What could be your ways of working? I'm asking you, Tahir, what could be your ways of working? In a project, what could be your ways of working?
Ways of working will be like if I say that how we adopt any approach that
Mhm.
what what work will be done in which manner.
No,
Likewise, if we are doing construction,
not what work is to be done. I am saying how work is to be done. You have to decide
how work.
how are you going to do this work. So if the project requirements are quite clear, they are, you are sure about the project requirement, they are not likely to change much, the scope is quite established, then your way of working may be predictive. If
Okay,
it is not clear, the requirements are evolving over time, then your way of working may be agile. And if there is some scenario where you are sitting in between, you may be doing it hybrid. That is what is meant by that. Okay.
okay,
So but I said earlier that the element of tailoring is in all ways of working, whether you are predictive, you are hybrid, or you are agile. But as you move towards agile, you become highly, highly adaptive, highly flexible, and naturally, in agile, you are kind of you are entertaining change in all shapes and colors. But when you are predictive, then probably you are kind of restrictive about the change. You do not permit all the changes go through the sieve. You are putting a check on them, right? So that is what it means. You have to choose your way of working. So it is not pre-decided this project is going to be agile or predictive or something. You just get the requirements of the project and then you decide what is going to be your way of working. That is what I mean by your way of working, right? Now, there is another thought, there is another method which is called disciplined agile, which even allows, I'm not saying that in a traditional agile it is allowed, but that method allows disciplined agile, that allows that you can even change from a predictive project to a agile project right in the middle of the project. I won't recommend that, but that is one of the possibilities. But right now, I'm saying that when you start a project, you have to choose your way of working, and then probably we can stick to that, right? But we will discuss a little bit about disciplined agent, and I'll tell you the flexibility available in that method. Anyways, tailor your processes for the selected life cycle, whatever you have chosen, whatever approach you have chosen, whatever way of working you have chosen. So they all approaches will have, all the way of working will have a different life cycle, different development approach, right? So naturally, you have to be highly adaptive about it. Whichever way of working you have chosen, the relevant life cycle, the relevant development approach will be used, which will include uh, which portions of elements should be added, modified, removed, blended, and are aligned. So this decision naturally In Agile, it is going to be very versatile decision because you could probably change anything and everything. In a predictive project, this might be quite restrictive. You may change certain things and not all the things, and things like that. So that all depends upon what method, what way of working you have chosen. But anyways, you have to tailor your practices and method to the environment and the culture of the organization, right? So you have to keep all of these things in view, right? I hope you get a little bit of idea. Maybe I could not explain a lot many things, but you get a little bit of idea what it means to tailor a project, whether it is a hybrid project, it is a predictive project, or it is an agile project. Do you get the idea? Okay, moving on.
Yes, we got.
Wonderful, wonderful. Moving on, in this section of this lesson, we have covered some of the things like from yesterday, foundational project management concept we have talked about. We talked about the project management principles. We talked about the agile mindset. And then we talked about in today's little portion we have covered, we have talked about the tailoring concept, even in hybrid approaches and others. Moving on to the next topic, which is really very interesting, and not only interesting, this is a very important topic. Although I did make a mention of it in the beginning, in the introductory part yesterday, this is called strategic alignment. Generally speaking, I hope you understand that whatever we do in an organization must align with the direction and the strategy of the organization. If we are not doing things which could benefit the organization, we should not be doing it. It is a simple rule. I'm not even talking about project management. I'm talking about anything you do in an organization. If it does not align itself with the strategy of the organization, it doesn't create any value to the organization. It is not, aligned with what the organization is directed towards. Probably you should not be doing that. Do you want to debate that? Yes, Eddie?
Could you give an example, sir?
I mean, if your organization is there in the market to make money, and you want to start a charity project, do you have a justification that this charity project is of any use to the organization, or it aligns with the strategy of the organization?
No, sir. It's profit driven. It's not charity driven.
Okay, very good, very good. So this project is probably not aligned with the strategy of the organization. Now let's talk about a very interesting concept here. This project of charity has been given to you, have been allocated to you by the sponsor or by the CEO of the organization, who is the custodian of the strategy. He says that you have to do it. How do you justify? How do you justify doing that project? You are not satisfied. This is a charity project. They want to make money. How does it fit into the big game? Can you make a justification out of it? Yes, please.
I don't think so, sir. Because
Okay.
if you enter an organization, obviously they will tell you their strategies, and they have to follow that strategy. All employees should.
Very good, very good. Okay. Now, because your boss has told you to do this project, and he tells you to do this charity project, and you understand that this charity project does not go well with the strategy of the organization, so naturally you will get back to your boss, to your sponsor or your boss, and ask him, please justify why this project is aligned with your organizational strategy. If you can justify that, I can do it. But otherwise, I don't see a reason why this project should be done. I hope you understand my point.
I do, sir. I do. I think I get the picture.
Now your boss tells you that although we are there in the market to make money, but it is for the public good, we have to dedicate a portion of our income. And that's why we have to do some charity projects. It may be good for our marketing, it may be good for social welfare, and probably for our existence. And if we do that, we probably will make able to make more money in future. We will earn a reputation of social good and things like that. And probably this justification may strike you and you say, okay, that is all right, because still we are going to, in an indirect manner, we are going to benefit the organization by making more money in some other venture, but this is going to be a catalyst for that. So, okay, this is aligned with our strategy. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. I think I learned this back in IGCSE business. There's a term for it. I forgot the term.
Okay. Yes, Mazen, are you with me on that?
Yes, right.
Okay. With this discussion, let us jump into the topic of strategic alignment. We have already discussed the PMI talent triangle from the perspective of the PMP exam, but this is not only for the PMP exam. This talent triangle was developed. This is for the whole concept of project management. A project manager, whether you are a PMP or not, a project manager is supposed to have knowledge in these three areas. He must know the technical knowledge about all the ways of working which he could adopt. He should have soft or power skills like leadership, negotiation, and conflict management, etc. And he should have a business acumen, right? So, generally speaking, these are the three vertices we have already discussed from yet another perspective, that is from the exam perspective. But here I am talking about PMI talent triangle from the perspective of our project managers, characteristics. Okay. About strategic alignment, there are some questions for you. Now, this is very interesting. I want you to be involved interactively in this discussion, and let us discuss that. You are doing a project in your organization, right? You are a small little project manager, and there is a huge organization. There are these people involved in strategy. There are people who are at the top tier and CEO level and all that. And those people think that they know everything about the strategy. But as a project manager who does not mean a lot, do you know your organization's strategic plan? Or I would say, should you know your organization's strategic plan? What do you say, Mazen?
Yes, you have, because
Okay,
your project should be aligned with the strategic plan of the organization,
right.
and usually it will be shared with all the members or all the project management as in the beginning of year.
Very good. So that is very interesting. Although we generally think that project manager has no business in getting involved in strategy, but in true sense, you must understand you are not forming the strategy, but you are trying to understand the strategy. And the purpose, as Mazen said, is that whatever is the strategy of the organization, you are a small cogwheel of that organization, and you must align yourself with that strategy. So every project will have to align itself to the strategic objectives of the organization. And therefore, if you don't know what the strategic plan is or what are the strategies of this organization, how can you align with anything? That is a big problem. Project managers usually do not know the strategic plan, they do not want to know it, and uh, they just focus on their project, whether they don't care whether it is giving some benefit to the organization, it is creating some value for the organization, is it aligned with the strategic plan of the organization? They don't care, which is a really very bad thing. Then understand how project goals matter to an organization's long-term vision and mission. So whatever is the big picture about the organization, be critical of yourself and see that all the project goals defined for your project, is any of them is in conflict with the strategic plan? Do they really matter for the organization? If any one of the goals of the project is misaligned with the strategy, you are the one who has to highlight it and who has to, prove that this is against the vision and mission of the organization, and we should not be doing it. No matter, even if it is a customer requirement, but the thing is against the interest of my organization, I should never do it. Moreover, for that purpose, you have to rise above your level of a project manager and think like a strategic person, and have a high level overview of the organization. Look the things from top down. I'm not asking you to create your own strategy. No, that is the job of the people who are responsible for creating the strategic plan, but you are one of the followers of the strategic plan, and therefore you should be able to get the big picture from top, right? So just don't live in your shell of your project, but go beyond that and look things from top down, bird's eye view. Then you have a working knowledge of business functions. You don't only need to be a good project manager, but you should know, within your organization, what are the various business functions, how do they serve the organization strategy, what is your function, how are you going to communicate and coordinate with them. So you should have a working knowledge of all the business functions. That is also part of understanding the strategy of the organization. And then have pertinent product and industry expertise. Whatever type of project you are doing, you should have knowledge about that product and that industry. For example, you are going for a construction project, you should have some expertise, some qualification in the field of construction. If you're going in oil and gas industry, you should have some qualification and skills in that area. Whatever you are trying to produce, maybe it is a unique product you are trying to produce, you should understand that very carefully. So these are the things you should be doing beyond your project. This is over and above the project goals. You have to look at things around, or you say things surrounding your project, the strategy, the objective, the high level view, the business functions, and things like that. Now, a couple of more questions. Can you explain the essential business aspects of a project? Just imagine a project you are doing right now. Have you ever considered what are the business aspects of this project? Did you ever think about it? Eddie?
I have troubles with the business aspect definition, sir.
Okay. Let me take you to your PhD project. Do you want to do a project which is not going to ultimately add something to the knowledge base internationally? Naturally, a PhD always almost invents something new, a new concept, or maybe a new thing or something, new idea. So if your idea is not contributive towards the society or whatever technical area you are talking about, then should it be done? Isn't it against the business interest?
It is against the business interest, and the entire plan should be restructured if that's the
Research,
case.
exactly. Naturally, if you are trying to do something which should be done, say, 100 years later, probably that would not fit in the big picture. Or maybe something which should have been done 100 years earlier, that also doesn't fit the picture. So you should be living in that time, in the current business environment, in the current educational environment, and there is a business aspect to every project. It is not only the technical work of the project, but there is a business logic associated with every project. So, as a project manager, you should be able to explain the essential business aspect of your project. I hope, Tahir, you can make sense out of it. Tahir, you there?
Yes, Sir Suhail. Yes, Sir Suhail, understood.
Very nice, very nice. And you please keep asking questions if you have any doubt. Then
Yeah, definitely.
naturally, I did say that you, as a project manager, must have the product knowledge, must have the industry expertise for whatever you're doing, but you will agree with me that you cannot know everything, right? So you should be ready to consult with people who know things because you are dealing with a unique situation. Every project is unique. You may be qualified, you may have a lot of experience, but specifically what you are producing in this project, you have never produced earlier. Maybe some people in the market know better than what you know. So you must try to learn from them, must involve them. So work with subject matter experts and a sponsor to develop an appropriate project delivery strategy. So don't try to be the know it all kind of a guy. You are not the expert on this thing, the only expert on this thing. There might be people who know better. So be ready to consult with them as if you can develop an appropriate project delivery strategy. Right? I hope that is also understandable. Third point is implement strategy to maximize the business value. That is interesting. First of all, we were emphasizing you should know the strategy of the organization and you should not do anything which is in contravention to the organization strategy. You must not do something which should not be according to the strategy of the organization. Now I'm saying that even if you are doing everything according to the strategy of the organization, you should pick those choices which will give maximum benefit to the organization, which will generate the maximum business value from this project for the organization. So every project, naturally, we have already said it in the first point that explain the essential business aspect of a project. So here we are saying that every project has some business value to deliver, and we want to deliver it to the optimum, maximize the business value we are supposed to deliver. No, I don't know if you are getting me, but this is completely different way of thinking. Rather than just focusing on the product of your project, you are thinking about the strategy, you are thinking about the business aspect, you are thinking about the business value. This is what is called business acumen. Every project manager should have business acumen. He should understand the strategy. He should align with that strategy. He should understand the business aspect. He should understand how to maximize the business value. This is what is all about strategic alignment and business management skills. I hope you are comfortable with the idea.
Yes, sir.
Very nice.
Actually, for the business aspect, you're correct, because my task is to always find the latest paper or the trending keywords. So you have to do a thorough research on the latest topic.
Of course, of course, of course. You do the research, and also naturally, if you are doing something unique, naturally in projects we do unique things, right? You are, maybe you are the first person who is kind of maybe a new kind of a building is being constructed in Dubai or somewhere, and you are the project manager. You have never done that exactly that kind of building, so you have to consult with people from all around the globe. You have to, communicate with them. Try to you are not a know all kind of a guy. Although I do understand that you have the appropriate skills, that's why you are the project manager. But be open for consultation. Okay, moving on. Now, this is again very important to understand how the strategy trickles down to the project and work level, right? So look at it. The whole thing starts in an organization. I'm talking from the organizational perspective. Every organization has a vision. According to that vision, they create their mission. According to that mission, they establish their organization strategies and objectives. Now, these are the three things you are not part of. I mean, you are not creating these things. You, as a project manager, are not responsible for creating the vision of the organization or the mission of the organization or the organization strategies or objectives of the organization, but you are one of the followers. But you must understand these things, and whatever you are doing, you must ensure that we are in alignment with the vision, mission, organization strategy, and the objective of the organization. That is what you are supposed to be doing. So you are in this red area, this highlighted area, where you're doing the portfolio management, or you're doing the strategic planning and management of projects and programs and operations. Everything falls in that bracket. And that bracket can further be subdivided into two parts. On the left-hand side, we see only the management of operations, that is the production and whatever the operational functional kind of duties are of any organization, which I said yesterday, that is the lifeblood of the organization. Operations are the lifeblood of the organization. So all operations must be aligned with the vision, mission, and organization strategy of the organization. On the other hand, all the change related initiative through which we bring improvement to the organization, that is project management, program management, portfolio management, all that lie in the right hand side. That is the management of authorized programs and projects. Naturally, portfolio is not written here because portfolio doesn't have a life cycle. Portfolio actually is defined by the projects and programs it contains. So all the authorized projects and programs will somehow fall under some portfolio. The portfolio management may be considered at the top level, and programs and projects are included in those portfolios. And all of these activities are projectized activities. They are unique initiatives, whereas the operations are recurring activities. We are reproducing something. We are just, replicating it. But in this case, we are creating some new idea, some new object, some new product. So where the operation serves to produce value by productivity, increasing the productivity by, the production department is increasing its production or something like that. So you're producing value by doing that, doing that repetitive and recurring work. Whereas with the experimentation you do in projects and programs, you invent new ways of doing things in a better manner and maximize your value production capability. You increase the value production capability. So this is not part of operations, but this is in parallel happening. You're doing these experimentations, and whenever you can improve some processes in the organization, that is done through projects, programs, etc. And then they will be adopted into operations. The new way of working will be taken up with the operations, and the SOPs, standard operating procedures, may be revised accordingly. You see, operational people cannot they are bound to follow the standard operating procedures. Standard operating procedures are only created for operations. They are written down, they are penned down already, and all the people in operations are strictly to follow them. They can't change the SOPs all by themselves. If you want to introduce a new way of working, that has to be done through a project or a program, and once that is proven to have created the value it's supposed to do, then you will adopt that new method into your operation, meaning you will include it in your SOP, and then automatically the operational people will start following it. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Are you with me, Mazen?
Yeah, it is fine.
Do you want me to explain anything any further?
No, for me it is clear.
Clear. Eddie, are you clear about the vision, mission, and organization strategy, etc.?
Sir, for the base of the triangle, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then the portfolio management and the operations management,
Mm-hmm.
these are like, are they the same level or different levels?
They are, no, they are different levels, but this is all what is happening in the organization, right? Actually, there are two types of things happening in an organization, which is broken down under it. That is, on the one hand side, there are the normal operations of the organization running, right? So this is the operations management of ongoing operations. And on the other hand, there are change related initiatives. Now, what are the change related initiatives? What you want to change the system of the organization, you want to improve the productivity of the organization. So you do some kind of experimentation, and the smallest unit of change or smallest way of experimenting is a project. And projects could be grouped into programs. Programs can be grouped into portfolios. So this is a hierarchy: portfolio, program, and project. But all of these project, programs, and portfolios are basically called organizational project management, OPM. You remember that? So the
Yes.
whole of this OPM is all about change. OPM is all about change. Although they are at different levels, but all of these things put together, they help bring change in the organization, right? And operations, what are they doing? They just follow the SOP. They keep recurring activities going. They keep producing what they are producing. I hope that makes sense.
It clears up now, sir. It's clear.
Okay, one thing I want to, just discuss with you. Can you give me an example of a vision? Can you tell me what is the vision of your organization? Can you give me a statement?
Our vision is to promote UK education worldwide. We have a campus in Malaysia, UK, and China. So our vision
Okay.
is to deliver UK education to other parts of the world.
Okay. I am a little confused here. If this is the vision of your organization, what is the mission of your organization?
Good question, sir. I'm confused between the definitions.
Mazin, can you put in your words?
Actually, I didn't remember the vision of our organization because I'm working now in operation section. So I can't find it. No.
As a employee of any organization, as a project manager, as an operation manager, this is the duty of everyone to know the vision, mission, organization, strategy, and objectives of that organization. Nobody can say that this is not my job. Always remember, it should be on your fingertips. Good organizations display these vision, mission, organization, strategy, and objectives on big charts in every room of the organization. Good organizations do that.
Actually, sir, that's correct. I pass by this vision and mission every day, but I never read it.
Yeah, exactly. But that is meant to be known to everyone. Everyone in the organization must know what we do, right? Okay, let me give you a difference between vision and mission. Vision is like a dream. Vision may not be very practical, but it is like a dream. Mission is a concrete, short statement, just like you gave me, Eddie. That statement was more like a mission. Anything which starts with a to do this, that is a mission. That is not a vision. Vision is kind of contemplating where we will be after a couple of years. Maybe what will be the educational scenario in 2050? That is what you're dreaming on. You're contemplating what will be the educational scenario or research scenario in 2050. So you will be accordingly establishing your target. So keeping that vision in mind, you will develop a concrete statement, a concrete and short and crisp statement for the mission of your organization. Naturally, you are not going to do it alone. The whole of the strategic team does that in consultation. So, first of all, they discuss their dreams, their vision, establish a vision statement, and then, according to that vision statement, they will write the mission statement. Vision statement would be in 2050, our organization would be like this. This is a dream. They may or may not be practical, but they can. Everybody is allowed to dream. So the whole strategic team collectively has dreamt that in 2050 our organization would be something like this. And to make that vision a reality, what should be your vision? What should be your mission? Then you reduce it into a concrete, doable statement. That is a mission. And then you break that mission statement into smaller organizational strategies and objectives as if you can start achieving them in short term. Like, a yearly plan. What is the strategy for this year? And what are the objectives for this year? And if you achieve all of them, then we have met the targets for this year. What are the objectives for the next year? What are the objectives? And ultimately, until 2050, you will keep doing that and you will keep achieving your strategy. But at the same time, remember, these things, vision, mission, and organizational strategy, are not static. Maybe after every 4 or 5 years, the strategic planning team will revisit and maybe they can rehash the vision, mission, and organization strategy. So this can go on and on. This could not be a static statement. A vision is not written once in the life of an organization. It is revised after regular intervals. Not daily, but maybe after 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. Or maybe if there is a very dynamic organization, maybe they are revising their vision, mission, and strategies every year.
What you said is true, sir. Actually, our campus just had their strategic planning meeting like last year or 2 years ago. I think last year, yeah, last year.
Okay.
Changes, especially after COVID, our company really did a lot of strategic planning.
Exactly. So that is the revision you people carried out. Maybe you revisualized where we should be, maybe due to this pandemic, how the things have changed and what should we expect in the future. So
Yes,
that
sir.
is
And like previously you stated, the business aspects, most of the strategic planning was profit driven, meaning we increase prices for students.
exactly. So I hope we are very clear about these things. But you see, once you have translated everything into strategies and objectives, then to implement those strategies and objectives, you need work. And that work could be either in shape of operations or in shape of organizational project management, like the portfolios, program, project. So the actual work is happening there. The work which is recurring, we are calling it operation. The work which is kind of experimental and it is a projectized kind of a thing, it is new invention, a new experimentation, that is in the category of change driven, which include portfolios, programs, and projects, right? Now, all this work, whether it is operational work or a change driven work, this all needs resources. They need people, they need money, they need other resources to do those jobs. And for that, we have to consume organizational resources. So whether it is operation, project, program, or whatever, they will need resources, right? And they will be fed out of the organizational resources, all of them, all of them. Naturally, organization will have their priority, what is more important, what resources are to be given to whom, and that's how whole of this show goes on. So good so far?
Sir, why isn't the organizational resource not included in the triangle? Like it's not there.
You see, organization resource is a kind of you have cattle and they eat feed. They eat feed, right? Actually, cattle is the thing which is actually working. It is giving you the milk and it is, you have to take care of that. So cattle has to eat something. If you want to do operations or you want to do projects, whatever you want to do, you need something to survive. You have to provide them certain resources. So resources are not the work. Resources are a feed to the work. That's why resources are not part of the big show. But they are very instrumental. Everything you do in an organization, they need resources. Some kind of resources. Money, people, or maybe machines, or equipment. All of these are resources, and they have to be distributed judiciously amongst all. Like you have 10 different kettles, and you have to feed them all. So it is your decision which kettle to feed more and which kettle to feed less. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay. Now, there is another concept on the right-hand side. It is written here. Are you aware about the concept of a OKR, objectives and key results? Have you heard about it?
No, sir. First time seeing this.
Okay. I'm sure you must have heard about KPIs.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That is true.
Okay. Now, this is a modern form of KPI, and it relates more to agile projects, right? Just like we have KPIs in our traditional projects, our traditional working, we set targets, we set the key performance indicators, which should tell us that how well we are performing in whatever we are doing. So those indicators are established, right? But in Agile, the things are slightly different. We do have a similar mechanism, but this is more well tied to our strategic objectives and key results. So there is direct association in Agile of the strategic objectives and the key results. I mean, strategic objectives have to be translated into your project objectives, and project objectives, every objective may be divided into sub-objectives, and every sub-objective may be divided into certain key results it should be producing, right? So rather than monitoring on KPIs, which could be quite irrelevant in some cases, here everything is tied up to the objectives, meaning if you are, tied up to the strategic objectives of the organization, that's what it is. OKRs, objectives and key results, that describe the organization's objectives and desired key results. And you rigidly and explicitly follow that. This is much better idea than a KPI. If you want to see the difference between KPIs and OKRs, I would urge you to go to the internet, find on web search, and you will find a lot many differences, charts, which show the difference between KPI and OKR. I don't want to deliberate more on that, but you should make your own search.
I will, sir, after.
Great, great. Moving on. Okay, now let's talk about the influences. There are influences on your organization, and there are influences on your project. Naturally, your project is a part of the organization. If your organization is somehow influenced, project can also be influenced by the same thing. But first of all, let us understand what are the various influences an organization can have. There could be influences coming from internally or externally from the organization. They are called enterprise environmental factors. Now, this terminology you might not have heard because this was invented by PMI. PMI invented these two terminologies, enterprise environmental factors, which they call EEFs in short, and the other terminology is organizational process assets, OPAs in short. So these two terminologies are created by PMI, and now they are widely being used in the market by other professionals also. If you look at the standard for business analysis created by IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysis, they are also using these terminology. And a lot many people other than PMI are now, they have started using this terminology. But anyways, this terminology was originated from PMI. These two terminologies, enterprise environmental factors and organization process assets, both of these represent various things which could influence an organization or a project for that matter. Now, if you look at the conditions which could influence an organization, conditions which could influence a project or an organization, those influences could be coming from internally or externally. Externally means that not within the organization, but maybe it is from the outside of the organization. Maybe the country is at war, and naturally the whole of the things are tailored according to that. That war condition is influencing your organization to behave in a certain fashion. Or maybe there is a pandemic going on, and that pandemic is externally influencing your organization in making things, doing things in a different way. Or maybe there is a harsh weather or climate in where you are, and your company has to adopt to, certain timing or whatever. You have to make certain changes according to your external environment. So these enterprise environmental factors, these conditions which exist either internally or externally, they are called EEFs, and they are of two types. External, which come outside of the organization. They are not influenced by the organization, but they are coming naturally to you. And internally, which are conditions caused by the organization for all the working within the organization. They are not external factors, they are internal factors, right? Like, you have a specific culture in your organization, right? And that culture is being followed within the organization. This is not an external environment, this is an internal environment. Or you have a certain way of working in your organization and everybody adopts that. Or you have a specific lingo you speak in your office. So all of these things are internal environment. So these are conditions or factors which impact internally or externally an organization and the parts of the organization. These are called enterprise environmental factors. On the other hand, we have yet another thing which are called organizational process assets. Now, organizational process assets are those processes, procedures, rules, regulations, or old data held by the organization. So, organizational process assets are never external, they are always internal, and they are more documentary in nature. Whereas enterprise environmental factors, need not be documentary. They could be just a condition. A severe weather could be a condition, right? Pandemic could be a condition, right? But procedure or policy, like you have a quality policy in your organization and you have to follow it, is in black and white, it is in form of a documentation, and every part of the organization, every one in the organization, whether they are in operations or they are in project or program or wherever, they all have to follow that. So these are all organizational process assets. Now, these organization process assets could also be divided into two parts. One are exclusively the processes, policies, and procedures, like rules, regulations, laws, processes within the organization, which you are bound to follow. Everyone is bound to follow, but you can't change them. The people who are following these procedures, these processes, these rules, they are supposed to follow them. They can't change them, right? So these things are kind of read only. You just have to follow them. On the other hand, whatever you are doing in the organization, you are learning from that. You are creating lessons out of it. You are creating documentation and record out of it. That becomes a very important corporate knowledge base, which could be used by people who will come in future. Like you did a project and you have learned a lot many lessons. You have recorded a lot many documentation. Maybe you created a lot of documentation from within the project, and that is available on record for people to come. They can consult it. And that means when you will complete your project, you will leave some lessons learned for future generations to come. That means it is not a read-only kind of a thing. You can create your own lessons. You can follow the lessons left by the people before you. And therefore, this is kind of a read and write kind of a thing. And we call it a corporate knowledge base. This could not only be the lessons, it could be the knowledge you gain during a project or a work you do. Whether it is operation or it is a project, you gain knowledge out of it. That knowledge could be recorded in form of a book form, and it could be used in future. I hope I was able to.
Sir, the skills and the experience that we learned, that means we write it down and then we can apply it to future projects.
Yeah, exactly. We write it down, we put it in record. We are not going to use it ourselves in future project, but someone who will come in future would be able to consult our documentation and try to take the guideline out of it.
All right, sir. So proper documentation is key.
Proper documentation, proper recorded in some kind of a knowledge base or a database or something like that, which could be maybe a wiki. In today's world, we have got wikis.
Yes, sir, like a wiki.
Yeah. Or for that matter, in today's world, the AI is a big corporate knowledge base. AI could serve that purpose as well. Anyways, so this is all about various types of organizational influences. Once again, there are two types of influences. One are called the enterprise environmental factors, which could be internal or external. And then we have got organizational process asset, which could be categorized in two parts. One is a read-only kind of a thing, which is processes, policies, procedures, rules, regulations, etc. And on the other hand, we have got the read and write kind of a thing, which are the lessons we leave for future and lessons we follow, which were left by others in the past. That is your corporate knowledge base. So good so far? Okay. When you are trying to study your external business environment, like we're talking about the external enterprise environmental factors, and you have to understand your environment. So even when you start a project, you look around to understand the environment in which this project is existing, what are the influences coming from it, externally from the organization and internally from the organization. Right now, I am more concerned about the external environmental factors, right? So what are those kind of environment? To evaluate that, there are many methods. And when we do the feasibilities, we usually use these methods. And I suppose you might have heard about them, maybe you have learned about them, or maybe you have used them in some of your work.
Yes, sir. The SWOT. My supervisor always SWOT analysis.
Yeah, exactly. That's also what is very common. But let's start from the top. Classical environmental tools, one is PESLE and another is TCOP. And then a very modern one is VUCA. Now, what is a PESLE analysis? Again, I'm not going to delve deeper into these details, but you can study that from internet. You can consult some books and see how this works. But basically, when you do an analysis, feasibility of any project, you look at it from various perspectives. It is not always only the financial aspect. It is not the financial evaluation only. Financial feasibility is important, but there are a lot many things to be looked at. What the political condition is, what is the economic thing is, what is the socio-economic, cultural thing is, technical feasibility, legally it is allowed or not, and environmentally it is suitable or not. So all of these aspects have to be seen. PESLE is one of the oldest methods, and well, I don't want to debate on these ingredients, but you see that is a broader categorization, or you can say this is a kind of a strategic level analysis you carry out. You look at the political situation, economic situation, things like that. You see, this is more of a bird's eye view.
I think,
ECOP,
sir.
yeah,
Oh,
please.
sorry, sir. I think this Apple Inc. Is it can it apply to like a company as big as Apple, for example?
No, it could apply to any organization. Any organization, big or small, can use this PESLE analysis. There is no problem at all. You are setting up a new organization, naturally you have to look at the political scenario of the country and with economic situation of the country. But it is a big picture. It is a big picture. Look at the bigger things. When you are talking about the TCOP method, TCOP method is more technical in nature. Although we see that even in PESLE analysis, we have one aspect as technical, but TCOP is more focused on more detailed environment, right? So it focuses on technical aspects, it focuses on environmental aspects. These two were common in the PESLE also. But rather than looking at the economic aspect, which is too big for this, TCOP technique, from technical point of view, they look at the commercial aspect. You see, if you are trying to build a project, you see the commercial aspect. Will it work? Will it be commercially suitable? Rather than will it be suitable for the country, economic. We are not looking at the economic aspect in TCOP. We are more concerned about the commercial aspect. Then we are not concerned about the legal and other things. We are more concerned about the operational aspect. And naturally, the political thing also is available in TCOP. But this is another way of analyzing. Just the level of detail is slightly different. PESLE and TCOP. Then we have got a very, latest method, which is very different, which is very unique, and that is called VUCA. And with the advent of the agile methods, this method of creating a feasibility for agile projects is in nowadays. It looks at the project, it looks at the feasibility of this agile project from these four aspects. How, how volatile is the situation? How uncertain is the situation? How complex is the situation? And how ambiguous is it? Right? Because you see, if all of these things are high, this makes a case for an agile project. It's a highly volatile environment, it's highly uncertain environment, very complex environment, very ambiguous environment. These are all candidates for our agile project, right? So this analysis, VUCA analysis, is specifically for agile only. Other methods also exist, as you just picked up, like SWOT analysis, comparative advantage analysis, feasibility studies, assumptions analysis, historical information analysis, risk alignment and organization strategy. They are all important, but at the same time, you will use them off and on where you feel necessary, right? So, anyways, to study your environment, external environment, you may have to resort to some of these methods, right? I will not go into the detail of these things. This is enough to let you know that how do you keep an eye on your external business environment. Should I move ahead?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes.
When we talk about the internal business environment is things which are internal to the organization, but they are not documentation. They are like the way of working. They're like the culture of the organization. You see, culture is never written down. What is the culture of your organization? Is it written out somewhere? Is there a book or a rule book for culture in your organization?
No, sir. You just kind of
We
feel
just
it.
adopt it, right? So basically, these are those factors which are imposed internally within the organization, but they could not be really written down somewhere. Because when we can write them, they become rules, they become procedures, right? But these are the factors within the organization. So organizational changes can dramatically impact the scope. If organization is experiencing a lot of change at the organizational level, don't you think your projects and all your work will be impacted by that? Highly volatile organization, things are changing all the time. Your way of working is going to be greatly impacted by that. That is the internal environment. There is no procedure, there is no rule, there is no law, but things are changing within the organization at a very high pace. The project managers, project sponsor, or the product owner need to be familiar with the business plans, reorganizations, process changes, and other internal activities. Meaning, what is happening in your organization? Project manager, sponsor, and the product owner all must be very well aware about what is happening in the organization, how things are going, because they can tweak their way of working accordingly. They make their decisions in accordance with that. This is a way of tailoring at the high level. You adopt according to the situation within the organization. Internal business changes might cause need for new deliverables, reprioritization of value. This we are talking from the strategic point of view, that we initially we suppose that we give more value to one aspect, but later with the change in circumstances, our focus has shifted. We started giving value to other things, like you gave the example of COVID-19. That changed everything for all the organizations. So the way of thinking was changed. So that was a impact on the internal impact on the businesses. They changed their
Yes.
way of working.
For example, this training is being held online.
Yeah,
For example.
of course. Exactly. That could be an impact of that. Okay. To cut the story short, these are some of the examples of OPAs and enterprise environmental factors. As far as OPAs, some of the examples of the processes, policies, and procedures could be, anything which could be, in form of a document. An organization chart is a chart. You can see that. Procurement rules are the rules. They're written down somewhere. Hiring and onboarding procedures. All of these could be included as OPAs in processes, policies, and procedures. What could be a knowledge base? A wiki could be a knowledge base. A library or an archive could be a knowledge base. Maybe a database could be a knowledge base, or lesson learned repositories where you keep the lessons learned, some record or something where you archive your lessons. It could be digital, it could be physical, whatever. So these are the organizational knowledge bases. This is all about the OPAs. There could be many other examples, but I just wanted to show you that this is how it looks like. Now, what could be enterprise environmental factors? Internally, there could be resource capability of your organization. How good resources do you have? What is the organization culture? What kind of IT software you are using? What distribution of facilities are there? How many offices or factories you have? So this will impact your way of working. On the other hand, external enterprise environmental factors could be the marketplace conditions, could be the laws, regulations, and standards imposed by the government or some standard making body. Now, you would say these are laws, these are documentation. Well, they are not our organizational policies, they are the laws of the land, right? So, law of the land are the regulations of the government or whatever coming from externally is like an impact on our organization. This is not our documentation. This is the documentation created by the government or someone else higher than our organization. So therefore, it is enterprise environmental factor. It will be treated as such. It is treated as a factor. Then operating conditions in which you are working, maybe it is too hot, maybe it is too cold, maybe it is pandemic, and social and cultural influences around you, right? In what country you are living and what kind of social and cultural values they carry, and how do they do things in that region. So all these things are external enterprise environmental factors. Well, having known all that, are you ready to do a little exercise? There is a list of some items here from your Shoppe Lifestyle Center case study. I'll read them out to you, and you have to separate enterprise environmental factors from organizational process assets. First is economic demand for a new shopping area. Just think about it. Is it an enterprise environmental factor or it is a OPA? Second, historical society conservation building regulation. Local neighborhood demand for a better town center. Archive of past large infrastructure projects. Approved vendors and contractor list. Tenant selection process. Now, let's take them one by one. First, Eddie, first point.
EEF, sir.
That is EEF. Mazen, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think one of the OPA is? Can you select an OPA out of these?
D.
D and E.
D and E or B and E?
No, D.
Delta.
Archive of large infrastructure projects.
Definitely. And approved vendor and contact list, of course.
Yes,
And,
right.
And what about the historical society conservation building regulation? This is a regulation, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, sir. B included.
But remember, this is not our regulation. This is a regulation of the historical society. This is an external environmental factor. But if it was our regulation, then the organizational policy or regulation, then it would have been OPA. Right? And what about the local neighborhood demand for a better town center?
EEF, sir.
That is also EEF. What about the tenant selection process? You are constructing buildings and then you are hiring tenants for that. How are you going to select the tenants? Is it what? EEF?
It will be internal. internal EEF.
No, this is a OPA.
Sorry. It is a process. It is a process.
Organization process asset. It is a
Yeah.
process. Right. So we see that you can differentiate between enterprise environmental factors and organization process assets. So we move ahead. Before we can move ahead, I must tell you that we are done with the second topic of this lesson, that we define the strategic alignment and business acumen. We follow guidelines for effective business decision making. We explore the organization influences on project. We explain how projects align with broader organization strategy and global trends. Right. The next topic we are going to start is the project benefits and value. But before I can start that, I would like to give you a break as if you can relax and refresh yourself. We will be meeting after 10 minutes. Is it all right with you?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. See you after 10 minutes. Our break is up. Are you guys there? Eddie and Mazin, are you there to start the class?